The internet is full of viral challenges and trends. Some are harmless, others turn deadly. In this video, we'll look at 5 real stories where online trends led to disturbing and unexpected deaths. These are not just accidents. They're warnings about how dangerous the internet can be when people take things too far. It was April 6, 2022 in Roselleville, Wisconsin. Tanya Rodriguez, 44, and James Carolfi, 52, were in their garage working on a new hobby. They had recently started trying a craft called fractal wood burning. It uses high-voltage electricity to burn tree-like patterns into wood soaked in a chemical solution. These designs, which look like lightning bolts, have gained popularity online, especially on TikTok. But what many people didn't realize was just how dangerous this method could be. That morning, Tanya and James were using a homemade setup. These setups are often made using parts from old microwaves or car batteries, which are not safe for this purpose. These machines can generate thousands of volts, more than enough to take someone's life in seconds. Sadly, that's what happened. At some point during their attempt, both were electrocuted. The electricity passed through their bodies and stopped their hearts instantly. Afterward, their equipment likely sparked, setting off a fire that quickly spread through their home. When firefighters arrived, the house was already in flames. Once the fire was put out, the bodies of Tanya and James were found in the garage. Their location raised suspicions. Why were both in the garage that early? And why were they found right where the fire started? Investigators treated the case as suspicious. Lieutenant Mark Wagers from the Marathon County Sheriff's Office said they weren't ruling anything out, including the possibility that someone else had been involved. Tanya was found holding jumper cables. Wire was wrapped around her legs, and she appeared to have a head injury. Detectives wondered if this had been staged. Detective Eric Enerson began looking into their personal lives. Tanya and James weren't married but had been in a long, difficult relationship. Tanya was also involved with another man, Brad Harrison. That relationship was rocky and often filled with arguments. Police soon turned their attention to Brad. He had argued with both Tanya and James in the past. A neighbor said she heard yelling between Brad and James not long before the fire and thought she heard what might have been gunshots. Brad had a warrant out for a minor issue, which gave police the chance to bring him in. They found him at work in Tomahawk, Wisconsin, sitting in a car while under the influence. He admitted he had gotten into a fight with James recently and claimed James had damaged his car with a baseball bat. As for the noises the neighbor heard, Brad said they came from the argument, not a weapon. He denied harming Tanya or James, and even suggested they may have been involved in something themselves. Police kept him in custody while waiting for more answers. Then came the autopsy results. Deputy Medical Examiner Leah Scheit found that neither victim had soot in their airways, which meant they were already gone before the fire started. There were no signs of injuries caused by weapons or chemicals. The marks on Tanya were caused by the heat of the fire. They took another look at the wire around Tanya's legs. It hadn't been used to tie her up. It likely wrapped around her during the experiment. Later, a pathologist reached out with a possible explanation: fractal wood burning. The scene, equipment, and injuries all matched accidents caused by this method. When police returned to the garage, they found microwave parts, batteries, and wiring that matched this technique. Friends confirmed Tanya and James had been talking about trying it. On April 21st, the sheriff's office confirmed that the two had died from accidental electrocution. The fire came after. Brad Harrison was cleared and released. Sheriff's Deputy Chad Bileb later spoke publicly, warning people about this method. At least 33 people have died trying it. Though the American Association of Woodturners banned it in 2017, it still spreads online. In 2020, another Wisconsin man named Matt Schmidt also died using this method. His wife later warned others not to try it. Tanya and James weren't looking for trouble. They were just trying something creative. But when dangerous equipment is involved, one mistake can be fatal. It was March 2, 2024 in Lancaster, a small city in northwest England. 11-year-old Tommy Lee Gracie Billington was spending the night at a friend's house on Greenset Close. It was supposed to be a fun sleepover, but just hours later, Tommy Lee would lose his life after trying something he saw online. According to his family, Tommy Lee had attempted a social media trend called chroming, the act of inhaling fumes from everyday products like deodorant, paint, or nail polish remover. This is done for a short-lived high, but the effects can turn deadly almost immediately. The chemicals can trigger hallucinations, unconsciousness, heart failure, or stop breathing altogether. Tommy Lee's family said he inhaled one of these substances during the sleepover and collapsed into cardiac arrest. He never woke up. The emergency call was made at 12:04 p.m. that Saturday. Northwest Ambulance Service responded to a report of an unresponsive child. When police arrived, Tommy Lee was still unconscious. He was rushed to the hospital, but nothing could be done. He was pronounced dead later that day. At the time, the authorities listed the cause of death as unexplained, but Tommy Lee's family believed otherwise. His grandmother, Tina Burns, shared the news on social media days later, explaining that her grandson had died instantly after attempting the viral trend. She wrote that the boys tried the TikTok craze called chroming, and he went into cardiac arrest right then and there. Tommy Lee was described as energetic, kind, and full of life. He lived with his mother Sherry in Lancaster. His father's family lived in nearby towns. After the tragedy, Sherry posted a warning to other parents, urging them to keep household products away from their children and to talk to them about online challenges. She wrote a plea to hide all deodorants, saying that this had cost her son his life. Chroming is not a new concept. Originally a slang term in Australia, it has existed for decades under other names like huffing or sniffing. But with social media platforms like TikTok, the trend has spread to younger audiences at alarming rates. In this case, the investigation went beyond the sleepover. In the days after Tommy Lee's death, 2 adults were questioned. A 25-year-old man from Lancaster was arrested for multiple offenses, including child neglect and possession of harmful substances. He was released on bail. A 35-year-old woman was also interviewed and released under investigation. While the official cause of death remains unexplained, the family believes chroming was clearly involved. Tina Burns has since turned her grief into action. As a teaching assistant, she started discussions in schools to raise awareness. She's already heard from parents who were unaware that these trends even existed. One said she removed all social media from her child's devices after learning what happened. Experts also weighed in. Social media analyst Hannah O'Donoghue Hobbs called the trend deeply dangerous and said it was shocking how quickly harmful content spreads. Though TikTok has blocked the term chroming, critics argue that similar videos are still easy to find under other names or coded language. Some even include comments advising on how to inhale these substances. One video that showed the method gathered over 700,000 views before being taken down. Tommy Lee's family is now pushing for stronger protections. They want children under 16 banned from using social media. They also believe platforms should be held responsible for letting dangerous trends spread. Dr. Lawrence Cunningham, a retired physician in the United Kingdom, said inhaling these substances can lead to serious long-term damage, including brain and organ failure. According to the charity Resolve, deaths from solvent inhalation in the United Kingdom have dropped over the years, from 152 in 1990 to 38 in 2020. But experts warn the trend could return with renewed strength because of social media. Similar incidents have happened elsewhere, including the death of 13-year-old Ezra Haynes in Australia in 2023. Like Tommy Lee, she inhaled toxic fumes and never recovered. Tina says her grandson's memory will now be used to raise awareness. She's determined to help protect other children from making the same mistake. Tommy Lee Gracie Billington was only 11 years old. One moment of curiosity changed everything. It was the early morning of May 3, 2024, in Fredericksburg, Virginia. 18-year-old Michael Allen Bosworth Jr. and 2 of his friends were filming a TikTok video. Like many teens, they were participating in a trend called Ding Dong Ditch, where someone knocks on a door or rings a doorbell and runs away before the homeowner answers. They had already visited a few houses and were just trying to get content to post online. Michael was a senior at Massaponax High School. He played football, lacrosse, and was also on the wrestling team. He was well-liked, outgoing, and known around school. Later that night, he was supposed to attend prom with his girlfriend of 3 years, but he never made it. At around 3 a.m., the boys walked up to a house on Mackenzie Lane. It belonged to 27-year-old Tyler Chase Butler. Michael knocked on the door. It was meant to be a quick prank, but Butler didn't take it that way. Butler told investigators he thought someone was trying to break in. Believing he was in danger, he picked up a firearm and, without checking who was outside or giving a warning, opened fire as the teens ran away. Michael was hit in the torso. One friend was grazed, and the third wasn't injured. Deputies from the Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office were called after someone reported a possible break-in and shots being fired. When officers arrived, they found Michael in critical condition. He was taken to a hospital, but it was too late. Michael was pronounced dead shortly after arriving. It was just hours before his prom. At first, the case was treated as a potential burglary. Butler told police he believed someone was trying to get into his home. But after speaking with the two surviving teens and looking through the content on their phones, investigators began to understand what really happened. One teen explained they were not trying to break in, they were playing a prank. He said they had filmed themselves doing ding-dong-ditch at other homes earlier that night and were running away when Butler started shooting. Investigators later confirmed that one of the teens had a video of the prank on his phone. It showed clearly that they were taking part in the TikTok challenge and had no plans to enter the house. On May 6th, the Spotsylvania County Sheriff's Office arrested Tyler Butler. He was charged with second-degree homicide, malicious wounding, and 2 counts of using a firearm while committing a felony. He was held at Rappahannock Regional Jail without bond. The shooting deeply affected the community. Michael's girlfriend, Melinda Garcia, still went to the prom that night. She wore Michael's bow tie on her wrist. On Instagram, she posted pictures and shared how much she missed him, writing that he did not deserve it at all. A few days later, students gathered at the school football field and released black and blue balloons in his memory. Videos from the event were shared online. The school announced that counselors would be available for students who needed help. Prom went on, but everything felt different. Michael is survived by his mother, Rebecca Webb, stepfather Joshua, father Michael Bosworth Sr., sister Isabel, and brothers Jason and Liam. His family described him as joyful and full of promise. A local obituary page was filled with tributes from friends and loved ones. Michael was scheduled to graduate on May 13th. Instead, his classmates would walk across the stage without him. A celebration of life was held on May 21st, following a public memorial at a nearby chapel. News of the incident spread nationwide, raising concerns about the use of firearms and how quickly a prank can turn into something irreversible. Investigators confirmed the teens were fleeing when shots were fired, and there was no sign they ever tried to enter the home. A similar case happened in California in 2020 when another prank ended in a crash that took the lives of 3 teens. That man was sentenced to life in prison. Michael Bosworth Jr. was supposed to be at the prom. He was supposed to graduate, but one night changed everything. He was 18 years old. It was May 1st, 2019, in Evansville, Indiana. Mason Bogard, a 15-year-old high school freshman, had just returned home from school. He hugged his dad, told his mom he loved her, and went upstairs. Minutes later, everything changed. Mason was the youngest of 3 kids. He lived a healthy, balanced life. He was close with his family, did well in school, enjoyed fishing, and liked cooking. He had a quirky sense of humor and was known for being kind and smart. When Mason first asked for a smartphone, his mom, Joanne, was cautious. She set up parental controls, added safety apps, and talked to him often about staying safe online. Mason wasn't very active on social media, but liked watching YouTube, especially outdoor and fishing videos. One day, Mason showed Joanne a video of a viral challenge. It looked funny, but it concerned her. She warned him that some online trends could be dangerous. Just 2 weeks later, Mason was gone. That evening seemed normal. Mason told his parents goodnight and went to take a shower. Moments later, they heard a loud noise from upstairs. Steve, Mason's dad, and a firefighter ran to check on him. He found Mason unconscious with a belt around his neck. Mason had no pulse and wasn't breathing. Steve started cardiopulmonary resuscitation right away and managed to revive his heartbeat. Paramedics rushed him to Deaconess Hospital. He was placed on life support, but after a few days, doctors confirmed he had irreversible brain damage. Mason was declared clinically brain dead. On May 6th, his family made the difficult decision to follow his wishes. Mason had wanted to be an organ donor. His organs saved 5 lives. As he was wheeled away, family, doctors, and nurses lined the hallway. The news of Mason's passing quickly spread across Evansville. On May 5th, Joanne shared on Facebook that her son had been trying something called the choking challenge, a dangerous online trend where teens restrict their breathing for a brief high. Many film themselves and share it for attention, but it's risky. If it goes wrong, it can lead to severe brain damage or death. Later, Mason's parents found a video on his phone. In it, Mason could be seen attempting the challenge while smiling and calling to his dog. He didn't seem aware of the danger. Authorities couldn't officially confirm the cause of death, as no online history linked him to the trend. But for Joanne, the video was enough. She believes the algorithm suggested the content to him. He didn't search for it. On May 10th, after his funeral, the Bogards released a lantern and fireworks in Mason's honor. Donations were made to causes he cared about, like the Indiana Donor Network and the Wounded Warrior Project. But Joanne didn't stop there. She began sharing Mason's story, and soon, other parents reached out. Parents who also lost children to harmful online content. This led her to push for change. In March, Indiana passed Mason's Education Act, which helps schools teach internet safety. Joanne later testified before Congress, alongside other parents, holding up photos of their lost children while questioning major tech chief executive officers. On July 30th, the United States Senate passed the Kids Online Safety Act. It aims to protect minors by limiting harmful content and giving parents more control. The bill is now with the House of Representatives. Joanne also joined Project Liberty, a group funded by billionaire Frank McCourt aiming to rebuild the internet into a safer space, especially for kids. One of their goals is to purchase and redesign TikTok to eliminate harmful algorithms. Joanne said that if she had that kind of control 5 years ago, she believed Mason would still be alive. She now uses the hashtag Mason's Message to spread awareness. She works with Fair Play, an organization that teaches families how social media uses reward systems to keep users hooked, often exposing teens to harmful content. Despite the rules protecting kids in the real world, the online world remains largely unregulated, and for Joanne, that needs to change. She continues to speak out, hoping Mason's story saves another child, and that no parent ever has to go through what she did. It was May 15, 2011, in Brisbane, Australia. 20-year-old Acton Beale had just returned home to Kangaroo Point after a night out with a friend. He was in good spirits. Like many his age, Acton enjoyed social media and followed online trends. One of those was planking. Planking involves lying face down, stiff like a board, in odd or unexpected places. Arms by your side, body straight, someone takes a photo and you post it online. It began harmlessly on benches and living room floors, but quickly escalated. People began planking on cars, fences, rooftops, anywhere unusual or risky. The more dangerous the location, the more attention it got. That morning, Acton decided to try planking on the balcony railing outside his 7th-floor apartment. The ledge was just 5 centimeters wide, barely enough to stand on, let alone lie down. But Acton went for it. His friend later told police that they'd been trying different planking spots earlier that night. This was the last one. According to Queensland Police Deputy Commissioner Ross Barnett, Acton attempted to position himself on the narrow edge. As he moved into place, he lost his balance. He fell 7 stories. People nearby heard a loud sound, but didn't realize what had happened. Paramedics arrived quickly and worked on him for nearly 20 minutes. but he had not survived the fall. This was the first known fatality linked to planking. Until then, the trend was seen as silly, even reckless, but not deadly. That perception changed. Police confirmed that Acton had consumed alcohol earlier that night. Deputy Commissioner Barnett later spoke to the media. He said Acton had sadly lost his footing. He also clarified that planking wasn't illegal or necessarily unsafe if done in appropriate places like parks or homes. The problem, he said, was people pushing limits for attention. Some had started lying on railway tracks, rooftops, or even roads. Just days earlier, police arrested a man in Queensland for planking on top of a police car. He was charged with trespassing. Warnings had already been issued by authorities in Queensland and Victoria. They emphasized that dangerous planking could lead to injury, criminal charges, or worse. Officers were increasingly concerned about how far people were willing to go for likes and followers. Acton's death made headlines across Australia and beyond. It led to widespread discussions about the dangers of internet trends. Prime Minister Julia Gillard called it really tragic and stressed the difference between safe fun and life-threatening choices. Tributes poured in on social media. A Facebook page titled "Rip Acton Beale" was created. Friends and strangers posted messages calling him kind, fun, and loved. Unfortunately, the page was soon flooded with hateful comments. Trolls mocked Acton and posted inappropriate content, including a video making light of the incident. It was quickly removed, but not before upsetting many. The comment section was later shut down to prevent further harm. The online planking community also came under fire. The Planking Australia Facebook page, which had over 87,000 followers, saw its tone shift overnight. Some defended the trend, saying most people were safe. One man, David Tyrrell, said the risky stunts came from a small group. Others felt the trend had gone too far. Deputy Commissioner Barnett said the more people competed to outdo each other, the greater the risk. It might seem harmless until it's not. Police in multiple states began taking action. In Victoria, people caught planking on rail property could be fined $293. Officials in New South Wales said they were preparing a public safety warning. Many agreed the problem wasn't planking itself, but the pressure to go viral. Still, authorities said risky stunts would be treated seriously, with possible legal consequences. Acton Beale was just 20. His story quickly became a reminder of how far people might go to gain online attention, and what can happen when a trend goes too far.